Hi everyone, welcome to this edition of Cyber Threat Thursday. Last week I introduced you to the different layers of the onion and how, seeing that layered effect is really the best way to approach cybersecurity. No one single thing will protect you from all of the threats that are around. This week what we're going to specifically talk about is your consumer router good enough to keep you safe? And if you are the type of person that installed this thing, 2-3 years ago and you haven't thought about it since, it's probably not. Right now, there are a couple different articles that talk about all of these vulnerabilities that are out in the wild with, these consumer grade firewalls like Asus or Cisco or D-Link or Netgear. And these are active threats right now. If you haven't updated your firewall in like the last 6 months, you need to do so ASAP. Basically, there are some inherent risks with consumer firewalls that even if you do some of these steps, that just makes them not quite as secure as they should be if we're running a business. Basically, most of these firewalls and routers, they just sit there for 3 years. You never update them. They have a static set of rules, A equals A, B equals B. If malware figures out how to get around that static rule, you're vulnerable to whatever, threat they have. And they only block the incoming threats. With the advent of, all these smart devices, what's letting you know that your cameras or your light switches and different things like that are not communicating out to where you don't want them? The other thing that they don't do is most of these networks only support very basic networking. They may support a guest network, but they don't support like that full segregation that you should be doing. I have about 5 different networks at home, and my business network is completely separate from all of my smart devices, my cameras, my light switches, my Google Home, all that stuff. All of that is separate. And that's really the only way to ensure that you are, as safe as you can be from that instance. There's an article here that talks about why you should not be using a consumer grade router on a business network. And whether we like it or not, even at home, we are running a small business and we need to take that into account. Follow this QR code if you want to go read that. There are some steps that we can do to mitigate or protect us the best possible. So the first thing is make sure you change the default username, admin, all that stuff, for your firewall. The first thing they try is those default usernames and passwords. Next, we want to change that default name of how you advertise yourself. Instead of saying Netgear or, Jeremy's house, you want to make sure that it's something vague that doesn't kind of identify where or who you are. You want to turn on automatic firmware updates if it supports it. A lot of them don't, but definitely check to see if it does support that. You want to use the newest encryption technology that your router supports. WPA2 or some of the brand new ones support WPA3. You definitely want to avoid using the original WPA or even WEP. That one's 20 years old now. And then the last thing is, if you have a guest network, make sure that you turn that on. Don't let your kids' friends or your guests or whomever connect to your home router. You want to keep that safe. Ultimately, we want to make sure that we are putting in the right device to keep you protected. Follow me next week, and I'll dive into the difference of how that looks and how, if you look at the layers of the onion, not only will it help you with a perimeter, but it'll also help, monitor the internal network and keep you safe.